Hi everybody, welcome to Live Sessions. First things first, you're probably gonna see me wiping my chin because my cat decided to slice my chin. So, I'm so sorry that I am late. I just, it was really bad and I didn't want to come on with blood dripping down my neck. So, yeah, I'm just gonna be dabbing my chin, so I apologize. But moving forward, tonight we have a really long show. If you are a fan of Briana or you're a fan of Nick, you know, stick around for both. It's going to be from 7 to 8 is Briana, and 8 to 8:30 is going to be Nick. So be sure to stick around for both. And they're both really great artists, and I'm so excited to have them both on. So without further ado, because I'm already late. Hopefully. Maybe? There we go.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's nice to meet you.
You too. I'm so glad
Yeah.
we're finally doing this. I know we were supposed to do it earlier and then schedules and everything, so I'm so happy we finally got it
Me too.
worked out.
Me too. I know. I've been really looking forward to being able to talk to you about all the things you're doing and just, you know, have a conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, why don't you give us like a little bit of a background maybe in music and what you've been doing and all of that, and then we'll get into the other stuff.
Cool. So, for those of you watching that don't know, I'm Briana Dominica. I'm a contemporary Christian singer and songwriter. Although I didn't always, I always loved music, but I didn't quite find my niche in contemporary Christian music until I was in my early 20s. And that is a very interesting story how I came to be a Christian artist.
That'll be for another
yeah.
show.
Yeah, we can touch on that another show. And I've been doing Christian music. I am originally from South Florida, but I've been living in Nashville. I can't believe August of this year is going to be 5 years. It seems like just yesterday I packed up my little Smurf blue car and moved up here. But
awesome.
Yeah, and I've got a publishing deal. I'm signed with Song Rocket Music and Dallas Gregory's company. Sherry Cranford runs my PR, and I have an amazing, amazing team of people behind me. It's true what they say, it takes a village, and I am super blessed to have an amazing team, and I've got Shannon McNeil running my socials for me now, and it's just it's great. I'm truly, truly blessed. I just, well, I say just, but in September of last year, I released my latest single, That Was You, which was written by Steve Peters and Brandon Chase after Steve lost his son to suicide. So I'm super excited for people to hear that. And it's actually the first song that I've released that I haven't co-written on. I'm a singer-songwriter, so most everything else I've released, I've co-written. So.
Well, hello, Sherry.
Yeah.
To finally meet you in sort of person. Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know if you heard in the beginning, right before I came on, my cat like sliced my lips or chin. So I've been like, I was late because it was like really bad. And I'm like, I don't want to go on live like that, you know, like, so I'll be just dabbing my chin, I guess, the whole time. But that's really awesome. I think it's really cool that you can you tell us why you decided to go with like a team rather than still continuing to do it on your own and independently, or you know, what made you make that choice?
Well, I was doing it kind of independently in Florida. I had a great mentor, and when I came to Nashville, it was just truly kind of, you know, moving from big fish in Little Pond to um, Little Fish in a Big Pond.
Yeah.
And it just was kind of overwhelming for me being in a town. I didn't know anyone, and um, my team has really become my family up here. And I just, they've taught me so much about the industry that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first to say I'm a creative through and through. Like, I don't want to do the business stuff. I just don't.
Some of
I literally,
that. I know.
I had a meeting today with one of my mentors, and, you know, we were talking about booking, and I'm like,
you're like, nope.
Nope.
Yeah.
So it's just not like, my heart's just not in the business side of it. So, you know, I figure delegate.
You know, and if you can afford to do that, or you can do that in some fashion, I think that's great, because I think it gives you more opportunity to lean towards and be focused on the creative part of it, you know, be able to, and focus on your craft rather than having to do all those bookings and having to be a part of that and having to make sure that they're, you know, calling all the places and all of that. So, I mean, truthfully, I think that's really awesome, because it's, you know, it allows you to be able to focus on what you want to focus on. And then I know there's a lot of musicians out there that don't have that, and wish they did. Yeah. So it's cool that you have the opportunity to do that. Yeah. So Nashville, how did you decide to move to Nashville? What was that? What was that decision?
that was a funny one. I literally had no desire to come to Nashville. Like, I wanted to be in California. Yeah. Like, I visited California when I was 18, and I was like, I want to be in California.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't want to do Christian music. I wanted to be the next Katy Perry or Lady Gaga or whatever. Yeah. And whoever. I guess now it would probably be like Billie Eilish and Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
I think would be the big, Ariana, you know, things like that. Yeah. And so but then when I discovered I wanted to do Christian music, a friend of mine, my mentor down in Florida, Swampy, Keith Ridenauer,
that's a great name.
Right? Right? He was like, I think you'll do really well in Nashville, and he introduced me to Dallas, Sherry, John and Michaela Lamonis, and John heard my testimony record and was like, we need to get her up here. And so I flew up to Nashville with my mom and Keith, Swampy, and we met with John and his wife, Michaela, and I just fell in love with the city. I started commuting for, you know, back and forth, and then finally my commutes were because Dallas was booking me on writing sessions when I was in town. Like, it was getting to a point where I was up here for 2 weeks at a time every month. And I was like, it was cheaper to rent an apartment, and I rented an apartment. We packed up, and my parents thought I would still commute. And like 2 days before, you know, we were getting ready to make the transition, I was packing so much, and my mom and dad are like, why are you packing so much? I'm like, oh, I'm not coming back. They're like, what? I said, oh, I'm not coming back. This is for keeps.
It's like, wait.
And they were like, you're what? I was like, so, awesome. And ironically, like, either the day before or the day we were doing the drive, I got super sick. Like, I was doped up on NyQuil, so my mom had to do most of the driving.
Oh my gosh. Bless her. Is it from North Florida or Southern Florida?
No, I'm originally from Southeastern Florida, Lighthouse Point, which is between Miami and Boca on the southeastern coast. So it was a good 14-hour drive, but we split it up into 2 days. You know, 7 hours one day, 7 hours the next.
Yeah. Gosh. My God, that's crazy. I if it was me and I wasn't feeling good, I totally would have postponed.
I was like, we're doing it. I don't care.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So in being there, I mean, you said you were there 5 years,
It's going
right?
to be 5 years
Yeah.
this year. Yeah.
So from the first time that you got there to now, how has it been living there? Like, I assume you have more
Oh,
contacts and more friends,
yeah,
things now.
for,
So do you
for
like living, you think
sure.
you'll stay, or do you still feel like you want to go to
No,
California?
Nashville's home. Like
Oh,
100%. I have, like, every time I go back to Florida, my dad's like, "You're not coming home, are you?" I said,
I'm sure
I'm
the weather's better too than Florida.
well, I, I'm not quite. I thought I would like the cold.
Really?
No,
Okay.
because I grew up in Florida.
Yeah.
I was like, I hate the heat. I
Yeah.
don't like this. I'm a big sucker for Hallmark movies, love my Hallmark movies. And I would watch the Hallmark movies and they'd have these beautiful white Christmases and winter
Yeah.
wonderlands. And I'm like, I want to be somewhere where it's cold.
Right.
You know, I want to wear the pretty coats. I
Yeah.
want to,
No.
this
For you?
winter has been really eye-opening for me. -3 degrees 2 days before Christmas. Like, I'm like, Hallmark lied.
Yeah.
Hallmark lied. It's
I mean,
not as
to be fair, it has been all over the world has been the
yeah.
worst chill. So I mean, we got it too. We had like -20 at one point. So I mean, I feel it. I get it. I'm not used to that whatsoever. I'm used to Seattle. I live on the east side of Washington now, and I'm used to Seattle where it just kind of rains, or it doesn't. It gets maybe 10 degrees at the lowest. So I totally feel you. I'm not like a super cold person in the snow. Like, that's just, I never have been. I mean, I like the snow, but like not that much. And it's been a
Yeah.
challenge too. So I totally feel you.
I'm like, I like this for Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah.
After January 1st.
You're like, no, go away. I don't want it anymore. Oh my gosh. So, in being able to be there, I do have several friends there, and people that have been on the show, and they co-write, pretty constantly, and they do the writing sessions and things. And so was that something that you really kind of embraced, or do you like being able to write songs on your own?
Well, it's interesting. I don't play an instrument despite all the instruments here. These are actually here for my co-writers so that they don't have to lug their equipment up 3 flights of stairs because I'm on the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
But I don't play an instrument. So my only experience with songwriting has been co-writes. Ever since I wrote my first song, Angel in the Sky, was a co-write. So to me, it's interesting when I have a co-writer and they're like, this is my first co-write. I've only ever written solo. I'm like,
like, all right.
like, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I love the co-writing experience because you get to bounce ideas off each other. And it's, for me, it's just, I love collaborating and I love trying to, create something. And I mean, I used to come into co-writes when I first came to town, super prepared with hook ideas, things like that. And more times now, like, I know Dallas is watching, so it's fine. He knows my method. Now I don't, like, if I have an idea, I'll keep it in the back of my mind, but I really want to kind of have a conversation with the co-writer and kind of see what the mood of the room is.
Yeah.
I just find the best songs come out of that rather than trying to, write to, okay, this is what the title we have, this is what we have to write to. No, because we could be talking and be like, oh, that's a great idea for a song. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So, and everyone's writing style is different. So I've just kind of learned to be like fluid in my writing and just kind of adapt to who my co-writer is.
Yeah, that's awesome. I also am a co-writer, like predominantly. And I can play a few musicians. I can play a few instruments, but I choose to co-write for the same thing. Like just I love that aspect of it. So that's really cool that you do the same thing. Do you think you're going to learn an instrument, or are you just going to continue to? No.
I've tried. I've tried piano lessons. Like I've had, oh my goodness, like 4 or 5 piano teachers.
Yeah.
Like, and I've had great piano teachers. I mean, all of my piano teachers have been amazing.
Yeah.
David Cohen, um, uh, Larry Kessler, like to name 2 of them. I don't remember the rest of them, but they've been that they've been amazing. And I just don't have the passion for it. It's for me, it's different. It's like a chore.
Yeah.
Whereas, and I don't know if it's because I grew up singing and like I could the discipline. I didn't have to like necessarily set a time. I could practice anytime. Like I could practice doing my makeup. I could practice while I was working. Sorry, mom, who is also my boss, but she knows. You know, I could practice kind of anywhere. I could practice in my car. Like I didn't have to set specific practice times per se.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know if that has kind of played into it. Like I can't carry a piano with me in my car, or, a guitar in my car. Well, I guess I could, but I really couldn't practice while I'm driving.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That would be dangerous. But I just never, it's always just felt like pulling teeth to me. Yeah. I admire anyone who can, like, my goodness, like when I see people play and sing, I think it's the coolest thing ever. It just not for me.
Yeah. I don't think it's so much a chore for me. I think it's just more like I'd much rather focus on the thing I am good at, you know? And so which is writing. So I feel like I'm much better at the lyrics than I am coming up with a melody. So
right, that's more like, so me, because I don't play an instrument. I'm more of a lyrics person.
Yeah,
you know, I will tear apart lyrics until they're like perfect. Like that's where I'm like, all right, we can get this good. This is where I can contribute.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I totally agree with that. My cat is playing with a gigantic spider, and I'm just curious how she's gonna handle this. So I'm just hoping it doesn't come this way. So I really I want to kind of get into the things that you are doing too, as far as your nonprofit and things like that. So can you tell us a little bit about that, because I think it's just amazing. Like you're changing the world.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I started a nonprofit in 2016 called Angel in the Sky for suicide prevention and awareness. Because I have lost 3 family members to suicide, including my oldest brother. And he and I were very, very close. Yeah. So I'm
so sorry.
It was just very devastating for me and for my family. And I was 16 at the time.
Jeez.
And being in school, like, I didn't feel like I had a great support system. Like, I didn't feel like there were kids that could understand that type of loss, because it wasn't talked about. It was like a very taboo thing. I can remember, like, when people found out that my brother passed, and he was young. It was a week after his 35th birthday, and he would, people would be like, well, what happened? He was so young. And I'd say, he took his life. And people would be like, without even knowing him, like complete strangers would say, oh, he was selfish, he was a coward. I'm like, no, he wasn't. You don't know him, you can't speak to that. And the fact that was the stigma just really upset me. And I'm in a unique position because I've not only lost several people to suicide, but I've struggled with suicidal thoughts and feelings myself, due to grief and being bullied and stuff like that. And I overcame those thoughts, and through counseling, music, and my faith, and I discovered like an inner strength and a warrior within myself. And I wanted people, I wanted to start a conversation. I wanted
Yeah.
people to feel like they weren't alone in this, because as I started talking about it with people, it was like, oh, wow, I lost someone too, or oh, I know someone who's
Yeah.
struggling with that. It's so prevalent and
It really
so,
is.
something that so many people are affected by, but it's just
Yeah.
not talked about. So, our mission statement or motto, whatever you want to call it, at Angel in the Sky is shining a light on suicide awareness. And that's what we're trying to do. We've created a school outreach program that we are currently trying to get off the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
The program's completed. It's a 30 to 45-minute live program where I would come into the school, I would share facts and statistics and share my personal story and my experience, but also share resources and warning signs and how people can help if they are struggling. So that's kind of what we're working on now. We're hoping to. We started last year the Warrior of the Week, where we feature someone overcoming.
Yeah.
To try to encourage others that are struggling that they're not alone. But with the holidays and stuff, I've kind of taken a little hiatus on that, but I'm hoping to bring it back here shortly, and hoping to launch our Shine program, where we help people that can't afford therapy.
Yeah. Wow.
Get them help and connected, and also, pay for some of their therapy.
Yeah. Wow.
So those are kind of the programs, and we've got some more stuff that we're wanting to get in the works. So the main thing is the suicide prevention program, the Warrior in Me program, which is named after my song and album Warrior in Me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Man, it's interesting. I too lost my brother, and he overdosed. So it wasn't quite suicide, but he overdosed. But I was just so drawn to the fact that you're so passionate about it, and just so it's just so prevalent now with what happened with COVID and all of these things. And I mean, even before COVID, it was kind of a really issue with children that are young. And here in Washington, we've had a pretty serious issue with youngsters in high school. And it's happened to, that I know of, probably 6 kids, I think, total now this year alone. And so I think it's really something that should be, I think it's great that you're doing in schools, because I think it's something that really needs to be brought up in schools with kids and the pressures that they have, and even the athletes and things like this from their parents and stuff like that. Yeah, go follow her, Coaster. And so he's a Washington artist too.
Oh, cool.
And so I just think it's so amazing that you're coming from somebody who's also lost family to that, and having such a connection to it. It's so cool. I wish I could have done something to been able to start something like that, and my heart wasn't totally behind it, so I didn't do it. But I just feel like that's really amazing that you do, and that you're so passionate about it. That's just, it's a beautiful thing that comes out of your brother's, sadly, out of his passing, and you're just going to help the world. And I think that's a fantastic and amazing way to honor him, like, truly. So yeah, like that's awesome. So but do you find that kind of helped you through everything, like to focus on that more so, and to be able to do that? Did it help you kind of get through that grief?
It's been an interesting journey. At first, it was something I really struggled with, and
Of course, yeah.
it was something I wanted to keep my music and my ministry very separate. until I came to town, and um, the first time I came to town actually, and they're like, I met with a label, and they were like, well, what's so interesting about you? And my mom's like, well, she uses music to overcome a lot of tragedy. And like the label execs' ears perked up. They're like, ooh, what's her story? And so my mom kind of shared all that I'd been through and whatever. And they were like, you need to capitalize on that. And I was like, I don't want to capitalize on my family's pain. That's not why I do my ministry. And it was something that I really struggled with a lot when I first came to town, until I met with my mentor, Cherie, who I saw today. And when I first came to town, she said to me, she said, Briana, sometimes our deepest pains turn into our greatest purpose. And
Amen.
I was like, okay. And she's like, it's not that you're profiting off your family's loss. You're trying to help other people.
Yeah.
And she's like, if people just talk to you for a minute, they will see your heart, and they will know that it's coming from a good, sincere place. And only so when she said it that way, and she helped me craft the whole suicide prevention program. And yeah,
I know she's just giving her a hand.
So she really did so much to getting that off the ground, and still, trying to encourage me in that. It's easier now. At first I couldn't get through the program without crying, or but I just kept practicing, and now I hate to say it, I love to talk about it, but I want to talk about it. I want other people to know that they are not alone, because when I was experiencing that loss, I felt so alone. I felt so, and I didn't feel like, I didn't want to go to my parents with my grief, because they had lost a son, and that was so much worse. So I didn't want them to worry about their daughter. And at the time, my other brother and I weren't that close. So he and I didn't really talk about our grief journeys either. So I was kind of just sitting in it by myself. And I started self-harming to try to handle the grief, because I didn't know what to do with it. And then finally I started getting help, and realized that I can overcome, and that, there's a warrior in me. And I just wanted to show others that there's a warrior within them as well.
Gosh, that's amazing. I mean, it actually shows how brave you are. Despite what you think, it shows how brave you are, and how much, grief can change you, and it can make you into, it can make you go one of two ways. You can let it consume you and take over and go down the path of self-harm, etc. Or you can take it and do something beautiful with it and run with it, and let that heal you, rather than the other alternative. And I think, for you, that just speaks to who you are, and it speaks to how strong you are and how brave you are to be able to really take all of that grief, stop what you're doing, and think, what can I do with this? How can I make this better for myself and other people? And, that takes some courage. So, props to you for like looking in the mirror, so they say, and really taking that to heart for yourself, So, I mean, this show actually was, I kind of did the same thing, and not to the extent that you did, but that's what this show essentially, I just ran with it because it was all I could do, and my therapy is music. And when my brother died, it was 2020, and there was no music. So it was like, I have nowhere to go, and I'm sitting at home and I can't do anything. And so I just made the music come to me.
Yeah.
And so, you're doing way more, and I think it's so fantastic and appreciative for those of us that have lost somebody. I think it's really something that is definitely to be applauded for sure.
Yeah. I
So
appreciate that.
I think we should hear some of your music.
Okay.
That's what I'm
We
excited, and I really want people to hear it because it's just so impactful and I love it. And so I'd really like now to like listen to it so people can hear
yeah,
it too.
yeah, for sure. So as I mentioned, I don't play an instrument, so I'll be singing to tracks, but it's
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. Um, so this first one that I'm going to do is called Invisible, and I wrote it with Nathan Woodard, and it was just, as I mentioned, I had been bullied in middle and high school, and there were times where I just felt invisible, and so that's kind of where this song came from, because there's a God that sees and hears us, and to him we're not invisible. He knows each of us by name, and so that's where this one came from. I know that place that you're living in. I've heard those lies that you believe. I know the feeling of being broken, surrounded by a world you wanna leave. Feel alone in a crowded room. There's a God above who sees what you're going through. You're not invisible. You're not invisible. You are worthy. You are loved. You are more than enough. When you're so afraid, hope seems far away. Look inside and find your faith unshakable. You're not invisible. Be still and know just who you are. God says you're wonderfully made. He knows your name and sees your heart. Nothing about you he would change. Feel all alone in a crowded room. Just trust that God is there with you. You're not invisible. You're not invisible. You are worthy. You are loved. You are more than enough. When you're so afraid, hope seems far away. Look inside and find your faith unshakable. You're not invisible. No, not invisible. You are worthy. You are loved. You are more than enough. When you're so afraid, hope seems far away. Look inside and find your faith unshakable. Look inside and find your faith unshakable. You're not invisible. Oh. You're not invisible.
I love it, man. Man.
Yeah.
You know, I think that that song can resonate with so many people. Like, yeah, whether you're Christian or not, I think it's just really the lyrics are just so brilliant. You know,
Thank you.
such a good song.
Yeah.
Um,
Hi, Jeff. Sorry, I see my he plays keys for me.
oh, hi.
Just song pop on there.
Yeah, I mean, and what uh, was that written in high school or was that written now?
No, that was written, oh goodness, around when I first came to town. I'd say 2018, 2019.
Okay.
Um, but it was written kind of for my school program and for kiddos, not kiddos, excuse me. I work with 3-year-olds on Sundays, so I'm kind of in kiddos' brain.
Yeah.
But young adults in middle and high school. Um, and I just, man, the pressures that they're facing, like, I didn't have social media when I was in high school and middle school. And I mean, I'm probably going to date myself here, but that's okay. You know, AOL Instant Messenger was just starting. And like, I think senior year, MySpace came out. And we were like, oh, that's cool. So
Yeah, we're probably around the same age because that's I remember MySpace and I was like, this is all right. This is kind of cool, you know. And but God, now I can't even imagine like what it would be like to be in high school now. Like, no.
And I mean, there were times I felt invisible back then. I can't imagine now. And like behind the screen, people feel like they can say or do anything. And it just breaks my heart because I just want people to know that they are seen and heard.
Yeah.
Like, and they are not alone. They are not invisible. Like,
yeah.
Whether you're a believer or not, like, God still loves you.
Yeah.
You know? And he sees you and he hears you.
Yep. That's about right. That's about right. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think, something that's prevalent in a lot of people, and I think that's something that's so it's a feeling that a lot of people feel in high school, you know, and it's if you're not popular, then you do feel invisible, or you do feel like you're not seen, or you do feel kind of outcasted, and kids that old are just so mean.
I mean, I can remember times like where like a situation happened or I was being bullied and like actually attention was focused on me and I'm like, man, I wish I was I wish in this moment I was invisible because I just like kids can be so mean and like and it's worse even now.
It really is. And it's gotten younger. Like I live with my best friend and she has a 10-year-old, 11-year-old and a 9-year-old. And it is incredible the things that they will come home and tell her. And I'm just like, these kids better look out. Like I never in my life have wanted to punch out a kid in my life. Like, like what is wrong with these kids? Please don't believe that I will do that, okay, internet. But it's just, you get to a point where like, oh my God, like, I can't even believe it. Like, what are these parents doing that are allowing their kids to talk to other kids like this? Like, you know, it's just like, holy moly. And I'm so glad that, like, I'm almost glad we didn't, because I feel like that gives us as our generation an opportunity to show kids that it can go a different way, you know, and for all of us to go through those types of experiences, you know, to be able, without internet, you know, to be able to be like, hey, like, you know, you can get through it. It's all right. So, you know, which is another point to your nonprofit is like, you know, you don't have to deal with all of that. You know, it's, you're empowered. You can be your own person and not even have to listen to what they're saying or what they're doing or whatever.
Right.
So,
I like to say that, and I got this from, I say he's my mentor, and I know my mother's gonna, because I say it all the time in all my interviews. I know she's sick of me saying it. Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. He's one of my mentors. I've never met him, but I just love what he does for mental health awareness. Maurice Bernard, and he says, you know, every time I think I can, I remember that I've overcome 100% of the time. Or every time I think I can't, excuse me, I've overcome 100% of the time. So why do I think this time would be any different?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, and that's true. Like and in those moments, I think you don't remember that you have, right? You're so engulfed in believing whatever is happening or what they're saying or whatever got you to that point, right? And whether it's home life, whether it's the kids at school, you know, whatever it is, you know, I think that's such a beautiful saying, because it is that way. It reminds you, hey, I am a warrior, or I am brave, or, you know, and that kind of thing, where it's like, I can do this, you know, and it gives you some power back. And I think that's what some of us lose when we're in those situations, is we think that we're just powerless in what is happening to us, you know. And so, wow, that's awesome. That's such a great line. I think I might have to steal it.
Oh, I do every time. I'm like, I use it in my Warrior of the Week vlogs all the time. I use it in my interviews.
Yeah.
I just love it because it's so true. Like, I can remember vividly the day we got the call about my brother. And in that moment, I truly wanted to die. I was like, should I slit my wrist? Should I drown myself? Should I, like, I was thrown out in front of a car. I was thinking of all of these things. And that was the first time in my life where I'd ever had that thought of, I don't want to be on this earth anymore because my brother's not here. Or just the thought of not wanting to be on this earth anymore, rather. But the reason being because my brother wasn't there. And if you had told me in that moment that I would be able to get through a day without him, let alone a year without him, in December of 2022, it was the 15th anniversary of his death.
Oh, okay.
So to think that I've made it
15 years
is like, whew, because in that moment I would have never thought I would have made it that long.
It was when you were 16, right? Gosh. And you know, I mean, it's only been 3 years for me, and I was in my 30s, and I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, I remember that exact moment too, of just total devastation and wanting, like, oh, I don't want to be here either. Like, I'm coming with you. You know, and you know, it's incredible to look back. You know, even though it's been less time. I mean, you've obviously, you know, had more time, but you know, I think that it's still so. Is it kind of still raw for you, like, in some respect?
It's interesting. I literally just had this conversation last night with a girl, and she had lost someone to suicide, and we were talking about it, and I said, and it had only been like I think a few months or something like that for her, and I said, she's like, but it does it get better, or something along those lines? And I said, it gets manageable. it never gets better.
Yeah.
Like I'll never know when it's going to hit me. And I was telling her, I, long story short, there was an issue with my apartment and it flooded 2 days before Christmas. Everything's fine. I'm back in. It's all good. But I had to move a lot of stuff. And in that process, I was like, well, since everything's moved, let me just do a big purge of things. So I started going through like old CDs and I found this blank CD. It was like, CDs are like the little saucers. In case we have some youngins listening that don't know what a CD is. It's so I put the little CD in my DVD player because I did not have I didn't want to go down to my car and I had no other method to play it. And I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna work on the DVD player. We'll try it. And I did, and on that CD, I was just going through the tracks, and one of the tracks was my brother's favorite song, and I just started crying. And I've listened to the song before, and I've heard it, and it hasn't affected me. But that time, just because I wasn't expecting it in that moment, and I was just like, I was bawling, and I was like, geez, it's been 15 years. Like, I should not be. But I've learned grief is truly a journey, and it's something. It ebbs and flows, and you know, and it's a lifelong journey. I mean, I've learned to try to not be defined by my grief, but it just be a piece of the puzzle. And that's how I've tried to view my grief, because I have seen people that their grief defines them, and that, in my opinion, is very problematic. And I don't feel it's fair to your loved one that passed. Because and I'm not discounting grief, but I feel like, don't let it define you, but let it be a piece of you. Let it be just a string kind of in the tapestry.
Wow, that's powerful, to let it be a part of you. That's what I've pretty much done, is just kind of let it be a part of my story. And again, like, I didn't realize it was going to be a part of my story, and I totally like can sympathize and can understand because that's, I think, where I had to draw the line. Is this going to define my life? Is this going to define me, who I am, you know, what I'm doing in life? Am I going to take a left turn and do something totally different? Like, where am I going to go with this, you know? And I thought I was going to do that.
I was heading down that path where it was defining me. And I was like, I can't let it do that.
And that's where, and I think you know, I think you probably touch on it, but that's where having a really good support system, I think, is key, you know, because you being so young, I mean, I was older, so I you know, I don't think it hits you no matter what age you are, but being, I think, younger, it's a lot harder. And you can tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know. But I'm just thinking, at 16 years old, that's got to be harder. It's especially if he's older and you look up to him and you're close. Just
there was a 19-year age difference between me and my brother, and he, in a lot of ways, my dad traveled a lot when I was a kid, and so in a lot of ways he was like a second dad to me. Like, I can remember, not that I got in trouble very often, but I can remember the times I got in trouble. Like, they would call my brother David over to come talk to me, and that's when I knew. I was like, oh boy, I really screwed up this time. They're calling in the big guns. They're calling in David. And so he and I were very, very close. Like, I can remember him coming to my voice recitals and things like that, and he was 6'2", strong, strapping man, muscly, like, you know, Mr. Macho Man. And I would start to sing and he would just start blubbering like a baby, and I'd be like, Davey, why are you crying? And he'd be like, I'm not crying, I'm sweating from my eyes. You know, whatever, but like he just um he so believed in my music, and that I don't know that I would have done chosen music if he hadn't passed. Like that changed everything for me, because I wanted to honor him by doing what he so believed was my gift. And I didn't write music until after he passed, because I needed an outlet for my grief, and that's what got me into songwriting.
Yeah.
So it totally changed the trajectory of my life at that young age. And it did, in some ways, it did not define the person, but it really what's the word I'm looking for? Shaped the person that I became, because I was at such a impressionable young age when it happened.
Yeah.
And I had to grow up quickly.
Yeah.
You know, I had to watch my parents grieve. I had to be strong, because and I say I had, this was in my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents are awesome, and they, you know, the minute they found out that I was suffering and struggling, they got me right into counseling and started dialoguing and talking to me about it. And but as a young person, that's what I was feeling. I was feeling like, oh, I didn't want to burden them. I didn't want to add to their grief, and I had to be strong. I couldn't show my feelings.
Yeah.
So
I totally understand that. That's what it, even now, like it was, I still felt that way. Like I couldn't be at the funeral and stuff like that. It was like, no, I can't. I have to be strong for, you know, my dad and, you know, whatever. So I totally understand that side of it. And are those things you kind of try and mention to the kids, that they don't have to have that persona of having to be strong for everybody? Like,
right. Yeah, I'm like, your job is not to be Superwoman or to be like just be like, so many times, like the parents just want to know. Like that's one thing my parents said to me, like, I just wish we knew. Like I'm sorry, we like, as soon as they, like I said, as soon as they found out, they got me into counseling and got me help. And it's even like now, it's like if I'm struggling, or, you know, because let's be real, life it sucks. It's not great. You know, it's not peaches and roses or chocolates or hearts all the time. You know, life is tough. It sucks. But it can be beautiful if we let it. And you know, it's like that scripture. I don't know the address of the scripture. I know it's in the Bible somewhere, and I'm probably paraphrasing it, but you know, in this world you will have trouble, but take heart, because I overcame the world. You know, and so I just kind of hold tight to that. Like, there is going to be trouble. Like, God does not promise this world will be easy. But we'll overcome it. And
the armor of God, right? You have the
armor. Which I love that. I'm starting to well, the armor of God, I know that one. That's I think it's Ephesians 6 verse 10.
You know better than I do. I don't even.
I'm pretty sure, because I'm one of the things I'm possibly, maybe, okay, I am gonna start is doing some women's conferences, hopefully, and I want to tie in the Ephesians armor of God, like kind of dig into that a little bit as like women of faith. Well, not just women, but women and men of faith. Like, we have the armor of God. We have, like, scripture tells us, we have the mighty warrior living in us. Holy Spirit dwells in us. So we've
Yeah.
got a warrior in me, and that's where my song "Warrior in Me" came from. In fact, it literally woke me up from a dead sleep at like 3 in the morning.
Wow.
Like that was the first time I've like truly, well, one of the first times. I had a dream about my brother passing away the night or 2 nights before it happened, but that's again a story for another day.
Yeah. Bring you on the podcast and talk about all that.
Yeah. So I was sleeping. I woke up. I just saw this logo with this word "warrior" in me, and I am not an artist. I can't draw for beans. My friend's 5-year-old can draw better than I can. Like, I'm like stick figure and that's it. But I got out of bed 3 in the morning and tried to sketch out this logo. And then I had to write with my buddy Swampy. And the next day, and I told him what happened. And I'm like, I feel like I need to write a song about this.
Yeah.
And again, I had no idea. Like, I was just like, cool, it'll make a cool song. Great. I had no idea it would turn into an album. Had no idea it would turn into my suicide prevention program. I had no idea that it would become kind of this movement that it's become.
Yeah.
So it was really God placing that on my heart and saying, this is what you need to tell people. This is what I want you to tell people. There is a warrior in them.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Amazing. That's so cool. And do you ever wish you would have told you at like 8 o'clock in the morning rather than 3 in the morning?
Well,
not that you have a choice.
I normally sleep, like, I don't wake up in the middle of the night. So any time where I am woken up in the middle of the night is like, it throws me off, and I can get a little cranky because I'm like, I need my solid consecutive 8-hour block.
Yeah.
But with that, I just felt so inspired, and I didn't care. Like I was just up, and I went out and talked to my dad, and I was showing him what I drew, and he was just like, "You're supposed to be sleeping right now. Like, what is wrong with you?"
Did you write the song right then and there, or was it
the next day we wrote it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the next day.
Oh, that would have been
Swampy
so much
and I wrote it.
Been up and just like drew it out, and then like it just flows through you.
Well, I can't play an instrument, so I had to wait.
You can't hear it in your head and like tell other people.
I know some lyricists can. I can't. I don't know if it's because I don't play an instrument. Without fail, if I come up with a melody, it's been done before. Like, they'll be like, "Oh, Briana, that's a great melody." I'll be like, "Reference it."
Yeah.
It's something. And sure enough, without fail, it'll be some other song.
Oh my God.
Or they'll be like, "That's great, but I'm pretty sure that's a so-and-so song." I'm like, there you go. Yeah. That's why I don't do melodies.
Right. Well, it has been so fantastic to talk to you, and
thank you so much for having me on. I so appreciate it.
Yeah,
I love what you're doing to bring awareness to independent artists and bring live music back. I love it.
That's my mantra. Save live music. It's the mantra of LA. And I just want to say you're doing great things, and you're fantastic and amazing, and I just love you. I think you're amazing.
Thank you.
So please come back on.
Yes, I would love that.
Please. I think I need to bring you on the podcast so we can have more conversations about all these stories. Like you have so many stories. I just want to like dive in them. Anytime. Well, everybody, please go and follow Briana. She is fantastic and has such inspiring music and such an inspiring story. As you heard, if you were here, if you weren't, it's okay too. Just be sure to go and follow her and support her and love her, and go support her nonprofit too, because I think it's just what is needed to happen now in this age of time. So, is there anything else you want to add as we head out?
No. I mean, I did have one more song, but if you want to play it, great. If not, totally cool.
I
I did have to prepare just
supposed to bring Nick on, and he's here. Nick, is it
all good?
Does one more song, or are you okay, or what do you want to do? I saw that we were after. We're all in a living room. No kidding. See, okay, that's what I try to do. I really do, Sherry. I try to like make it so that we're all in this together. You know? So I like that song. We're all in this together.
Oh, High School Musical was my jam. Oh, I had the biggest crush on Zac Efron.
Oh, I still do. What are you talking about?
Right? Right?
Oh, he says it's okay. Thank you, Nick. Okay.
Thank you, Nick.
And then we'll bring Nick on.
Cool. Yeah. This is my song, Warrior in Me. I gotta end it on an up note.
Yeah. Can you turn the music up just a little bit?
That better?
There you go. Yeah.
Sit here lonely, hoping for some peace. I'm digging deeper to find the power in me. You fill me up with courage to face my fears. Give me strength when I am weak. If I embrace all that I'm meant to be, I will fight the warrior in me. Feel the sunshine when I think of you. I hold my head high, thankful for all you do. You fill me up with courage to face my fears. You give me strength when I am weak. If I embrace all that I'm meant to be, I will fly. I will fly. The warrior in me. Fighter, a believer, and I can finally see the warrior in me.
Yeah. I totally love that song too. That's such a great song. I love it. Man, you're so awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you so much again for having me on. This was so fun.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. I mean, you're just doing great things, and you know, I know your brother's proud of you. He's got to be, because you're just doing so many amazing things and changing the world a little bit at a time, and that's all you can do, you know. And go for it, dude. Like, it's so great.
Thank you.
Well, is there anything else you got? Like, do you want to say anything? No?
Nope,
Okay. All right.
That's it.
Go follow her, guys. Let's give her some.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, please follow Briana Dominica. I'm so bad at that. Like, you gotta tell people to follow you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's get some follows and get her some support and love on her, because she's just doing amazing things. So, yeah, just really go and love on her. So, it was so great to have you, friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a great night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.